Welcome to Life Less Ordinary. It is the middle of September and we are smack bang in the middle of planting up seeds and repotting seedlings. So I thought I'd take you on a little bit of a journey so that you can see how we are doing that and what that looks like for us. We do have a lot of seedlings already up, so tomatoes, zinnias, marigolds, I think that's it, so lots of tomatoes, but I have already potted up or started the pumpkins. So these are the pumpkins. There's 3 different varieties of pumpkins. In here, last week I started these. So these are some cornflower variety of zinnias. I cannot even make out what that one is, but I'm sure it'll become obvious once they come through. So this is how we do it. So I've got lots and lots of pots, seedling trays that I've used in years gone by from bought seedlings, and I've just kept them. So I do that, and we also use this. This is a soil blocker. So I make up my own mixture of seed raising mix. That is a mixture of mushroom compost and active grow soil, as well as coconut or coir. Let me just see. It's coir. Comes in a block like this that you stick in a big container. We use our wheelbarrows and soak it with water, and it expands. So that size coir block was probably twice what's in here because I've already used a lot of it. So then I mix this coir with some of this active grow and mushroom compost, and then make up my soil block. Added to the coir, the active grow mushroom compost, I also add in vermiculite. This is good for soil for moisture retention. So it looks like this, and you just mix that in, and it helps. Between that and the coir, it helps with moisture retention, which in particular you want when you're raising seeds. You can't let the water, the soil dry out. You want the soil to remain moist until the seed germinates. So that's how I do that. The vermiculite isn't 100% necessary because the coir does do a lot of that, but I happen to have this to hand at the moment, so I might as well use it. Instead of the active grow, which I've gotten from the local hardware store, and mushroom compost, I would probably normally use the compost that we've been making up in our compost bays, except that in preparing all the gardens down the back over this our last month or two, we've actually emptied the compost from that into the gardens down there, so I don't actually have any. I would normally strain it with something like this so that it's nice and fine, but like I said, we've used it down in the back gardens. Another thing that you could use is, if you have a worm farm, is the castings from that. We do have 3 worm farms, but they're not far enough along for us to be able to use the castings from that. But hopefully next year we will have enough compost enough of the worm castings so that I won't actually have to buy the Active Grow or the mushroom compost from the hardware store. So all that said, let's get going making up these soil blockers. So when we make up the soil blocks, we will need to put them into trays so that they don't all just fall apart and so that they're easily moved. So what we've got here and what Trinity is helpfully cleaning for me are trays like this. So they do have some drainage holes in them. You could use ones that don't have drainage holes, and that way you've got water in there so that, again, the soil block isn't going to dry out. But you always want to clean whatever you're using, whether it's trays with drainage holes or without. Always clean them, and that is what Trinity is doing for me. What I've got here is the coir that's already been moistened. This is the stuff that I've already been using, and this amount I'm just going to use it and make it up in here because I will be making quite a large amount, and I will dump this whole bag in there. If this isn't fine enough, then I will probably need to strain it with one of these. Thankfully, I've been given these only recently by a friend. Thank you, Callum. And these are all different sizes. So for something like seed raising mix, you'd want this finer strain, but this is actually not too bad, so I won't need to do that. But when I use my own compost, I will definitely need to strain. So what I'm going to do is mix this whole lot together and make sure it's quite moist so that the soil blocks will stay together, they'll remain firm rather than crumbling apart. So I will now get my hands particularly dirty and mix this together. So I have successfully mixed the Active Grow and the coir together, and we've got a good mix in very dirty hands. It is always good to be able to do this, to actually feel what the soil's like. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the vermiculite. I'm always even with cooking generally, a go by feel type of person, no specific measurements. So I'm just adding that in. I'm only going with the top because when I make up the soil blocks, I'm only using the top stuff anyway, and then as I get further down and there's less concentration of the vermiculite, I can add more in if I feel that it needs it. So, Tringe, I'm going to bring that over so you can have a look. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, for some this mightn't be fine enough, but I'm, like I said, not much on recipes, so I go by the feel and I think it's okay. So we're ready to now make up our soil blocks. At this stage, what we're looking for is the consistency between what we've used and how damp it is. And feeling this, if I were to make up some soil blocks from that now, they would probably crumble apart and look quite dry. Yeah, so they're quite crumbly. So that tells me that I need to add water in just to get a better consistency, because like I said before, while the seeds are germinating, we are needing to keep this moist anyway. So starting out moist is always a good thing, otherwise things crumble apart. And then you've got a good starting place for your soil blocks. So let's give that a go. That's much better. So it's actually quite damp. Yep. So okay, so let's see how we go. Putting that in. So that is much better, and as you can see, this soil block, this is the benefit of using soil blocks. It already has made up the hole in there to put the seed in. If you look at it from this angle here, you can see that they're individual blocks. So as the seed germinates and the roots grow, it will actually also hold that soil block together. And then when it comes time to once the seed has grown enough and there's enough roots, then it's easy to just lift that one soil block out and plant it out in the garden. It's just simple. All right, I will get going on making up some more soil blocks. So that has taken me about 3 minutes maybe to get that whole tray done. I will keep going with the rest. Okay, so we're at the stage where we've made up our soil blocks and we have our seeds. So in these ones, my intention is to sow sunflowers. I've just realised that I didn't have all of the varieties that I was actually after, and I thought I had put the order in, but obviously not. So I've just gone in to do that. But what I will be planting is the giant Russian. And I've got some royal velvet as well. I have common sunflower here and a large amount of them. The intention with that is to down in the back garden and in the outside of the potager garden, I've got lots of potatoes, some Rio to grow things like tomatoes if I wanted to outside that larger garden area, a row of artichokes, which I'm growing more for the flowers than for the artichokes themselves, but we'll see how we go with the artichokes because we may need to eat them. But then my intention is to do a row probably about 5 or 6 meters long of these common sunflowers, so that we have just a large swathe of sunflowers. It will always look nice, and that would actually be right near the bees where we've got the bee hives. So what we've got are seeds. What we also need is something to write the name of the varieties or what we're actually planting. For one tray or one lot of seeds, I would generally only use one stick and kind of delineate which ones those are, so that I'm not making up 20 sticks of the one variety. Salome's going to help. She's just coming out. So I have used these are in the utensil and whatever aisle, bamboo skewers. I like them, and I just use a thin-ish permanent marker. You could also use these plant labels that you can get from the hardware store, and I have used them in the past, and I do have some here that I am reusing. But the thing that I have found with these, because they are plastic, they tend to perish. So the ones that I've used last year or the year before, when I've gone to write on them again and just sort of pick them up, they kind of snap in half. Wood can break down and be put into the compost once they're unusable. So that's what I would prefer, but I do only have a certain amount of those. So seeds, something to label with, and a permanent marker, and we will get going. So Salome, do you want to come and help? These are the giant Russians. Giant. Okay, so if you want to start there. So if you have a look, I'll show you. These seeds are actually quite large. So they'll need to be sort of popped in there a bit deeper down. And then we'll use some more of the coir to, I'll give those to you, to place on top, and we don't want to lose any. So I've got these ones here. See, they're a lot smaller. These are royal velvet, and from memory, even though they're not the same, I'm after the evening sun ones. They're a multi-headed sunflower, whereas things like the giant Russian, you will only get the one flower head. Whereas I'm pretty certain this one, which, what did I say it was? The royal velvet, I'm pretty certain it's a multi-headed one.
Are there no more giant Russians?
There's no more giant Russians, so let's show you what that looks like. So you can see those in there, and then Salome's just going to go and get a handful of the coir. Let me use what's in this bucket here. To put on top of those so that they are dark and covered over, because seeds to germinate need darkness, moist darkness. So Salome is doing that, and then I will put these ones into this one. So as you can see, it is as simple as that. I will keep them moist because these aren't on a tray that doesn't have holes. I will have to keep the moisture up to it. So you can use, and what I do often use is a spray bottle, because like I said, the coir will actually try to retain some of that moisture, but we're definitely wanting to keep the top moist. If it seems like it's drying out, then I will find something. So actually what I have done in the past is get tray boxes like this, which I do have some from the previous years in the sheds, and I will just place these trays into those boxes and keep, you know, a little bit of water in there so that the soil blocks don't dry out. So hopefully that's been helpful as you see our process for making soil blocks for planting seeds so that they can germinate, so we can then pot up further, like these ones here, these bigger ones there, and all of these here. I will say that this time of year, when we are doing so much of this, you just have to live with the plants that are strewn all over the place. It's only for a couple of weeks before we're then able to plant them out, but they do need to be protected at this stage, and they are, as they get to this further stage on here, they're what we call hardening off to the elements, so that when we put them out into the garden, they're not going to suffer any shock. They've been a little bit used to a little bit of protection, but still to the elements that are here, so that they won't have so much shock when they go out into their final resting place. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you for joining us as we live our life less ordinary.